The alien ship shuddered as it broke through Earth's atmosphere. Zephyr 9 gripped his command chair with 4 of his 6 arms, while his crew worked frantically at their stations. Warning lights flashed red across the bridge of the cosmic dawn. Solar flare activity is beyond our calculations, called out Navigator Wisp 7 from her position. Her normally blue skin had turned pale green with fear. The electromagnetic pulse is overloading our systems. Zephyr 9 checked his mission files again. Earth was listed as a Class Twice Deathworld, the most dangerous rating in the Galactic database. His job was simple: survey the planet from orbit, confirm no intelligent life existed, and mark it for permanent quarantine. No one was supposed to land on Deathworlds. Ever. Engineering, can we regain control? He asked through the ship's communication system. Negative, Commander, came the reply from Chief Engineer Clax 2. Main engines are failing. Life support is down to emergency power. We need to find somewhere to land now. The ship groaned under the stress of uncontrolled descent. Through the main viewing screen, Zephyr 9 watched the alien world grow larger. Blue oceans covered most of the surface. Strange white formations that his database called clouds moved across brown and green land masses. The planet looked almost peaceful from this height, but Zephyr 9 knew better. His species had studied Deathworlds for thousands of years. Planets like this one killed everything that tried to live on them. The gravity was too strong. The atmosphere was poison. The temperature changes were extreme. The radiation from the local star was deadly. Nothing intelligent could survive here. Brace for impact, he ordered his crew. The cosmic dawn crashed through tall green plants that the database called trees. Metal screamed against wood as the ship carved a path through what appeared to be a forest. Finally, the vessel came to rest in a clearing surrounded by the strange plant life. Smoke poured from damaged sections of the hull. Several crew members lay unconscious at their stations. Zephyr 9 felt warm liquid running down his face from a cut on his forehead. Emergency beacon activated, reported Communications Officer Hum 4. But it will be days before rescue arrives, if they can even find us on this death world. Seal all sections, Zephyr 9 ordered. Check for hull breaches. We cannot let this planet's toxic atmosphere contaminate our life support. As his crew worked to secure the ship, Zephyr 9 reviewed what he knew about Deathworld inhabitants. The few species that managed to survive on such worlds were always savage. They fought constantly for limited resources. They attacked anything that entered their territory. They showed no mercy to the weak or injured. Commander, called Science, Officer Vex 3 from the sensor station. I'm detecting movement outside the ship, multiple life forms approaching our position. Zephyr 9 felt his blood chill. The planet's native creatures had found them. This was exactly what he had feared. His crew was injured and trapped. Their weapons were limited. They would not survive an attack from Deathworld predators. All crew, prepare for hostile contact, he announced. Arm emergency weapons. Secure all entrances. Through the damaged viewing screen, he could see shapes moving between the trees. They walked on only 2 legs, which seemed impossible for creatures living in such high gravity. They appeared to be approaching the crash site directly. Size approximately 2 meters. Tall, reported Vex 3, reading from his sensors. Bipedal locomotion. They appear to be carrying tools or weapons. The first creature emerged from the tree line, and Zephyr 9 got his first clear look at a native of this death world. It had brown skin and black hair covering only the top of its head. It wore coverings made from plant and animal materials. Most shocking of all, it appeared to be approaching the crashed ship without any protective equipment against the planet's hostile environment. More creatures appeared behind the first one. They were similar in size and shape, but with different colorations. Some had lighter skin, others darker. Their hair came in various shades, but all of them seemed completely comfortable in the deadly atmosphere that should have killed them instantly. They're not attacking, observed Vex 3 with confusion in his voice. Indeed, the creatures were not showing aggressive behavior. Instead, they appeared to be studying the crashed ship with what looked like concern rather than hostility. The lead creature cupped its hands around its mouth and made loud sounds. Other creatures responded with similar vocalizations. Zephyr 9 realized they were communicating with each other using acoustic vibrations. "Commander," said Humfor, "I'm picking up organized communication patterns. These sounds might be language." "Impossible," replied Zephyr 9. "Deathworld species don't develop complex communication. They're too busy fighting for survival." But even as he said it, he watched the creatures coordinate their movements through vocal signals. They seemed to be organizing some kind of group activity around his crashed ship. One of the creatures approached the hull and placed what appeared to be its sensory organs against the metal. It was listening for something. Then it began making rhythmic sounds against the ship's exterior. "It's trying to communicate with us," whispered Vex 3 in amazement. The creature repeated the rhythmic pattern several times. When no response came from inside the ship, it tried a different pattern, then another. "Open external communications," ordered Zephyr 9. This was against all protocols for Deathworld contact, but his crew was trapped and injured. He had little choice. "This is Commander Zephyr 9 of the Galactic Council survey vessel Cosmic Dawn," he transmitted through the ship's speakers. "We require immediate assistance." The creatures outside stopped moving when they heard his voice. They looked at each other and began rapid vocal exchanges. Then the lead creature approached the ship again. "Hello," it said in surprisingly clear galactic standard language. "My name is Jake Martinez. I'm a park ranger. Are you hurt in there?" Zephyr 9 nearly fell from his command chair. Not only could this Deathworld creature speak galactic standard, but its first concern was for their welfare. "We have injured crew members," Zephyr 9 replied carefully. "Our ship has suffered critical damage." "Don't worry," said Jake Martinez. "Help is coming. We've called for medical assistance and rescue equipment. Just hold on." More creatures began arriving at the crash site. Some carried containers that appeared to hold supplies. Others brought tools that looked designed for rescue operations rather than weapons. All of them seemed focused on helping rather than harming the stranded aliens. A flying vehicle appeared overhead. It was primitive by galactic standards, but functional. It landed near the ship, and more creatures emerged carrying what were obviously medical supplies. "Lisa Thompson," announced one of the newcomers. "I'm a biologist. We're going to get you out of there safely." Through the ship's damaged sensors, Zephyr 9 watched the creatures work together with remarkable efficiency. They shared resources, without conflict. They coordinated complex rescue operations through their vocal communication system. Most remarkably, they showed genuine concern for beings they had never seen before. This behavior contradicted everything in the galactic database about Deathworld species. These creatures should have been fighting each other for the right to loot the crashed ship. Instead, they were risking their own safety to help complete strangers. "Commander," said Medical Officer Tren 5 from the ship's medical bay. "Several crew members need immediate treatment. Our medical supplies are limited." "Tell them about our injured," Zephyr 9 ordered Humfor. Jake Martinez's response came immediately. "We have a trauma surgeon flying in from the nearest city. Dr. Amanda Foster is one of the best. She'll take care of your people." Zephyr 9 stared at the communication panel in disbelief. Not only were these Deathworld creatures offering medical aid, but they were bringing their finest healers to treat alien injuries. As rescue operations continued outside his ship, Zephyr 9 began to realize that everything the Galactic Council believed about Deathworlds might be completely wrong. These creatures weren't savage survivors fighting for scraps. They were organized, intelligent, and impossibly compassionate. The strangest Deathworld in the galaxy had just become much stranger than anyone could have imagined. 3 days had passed since the crash. Dr. Amanda Foster had successfully treated all injured crew members using a combination of human medical knowledge and quick adaptation to alien biology. The aliens were now recovering in a temporary medical facility set up near their ship. Zephyr 9 sat in what the humans called a wheelchair, his leg injuries healing faster than expected thanks to Dr. Foster's care. Around him, his crew members were also recovering well. But what puzzled him most was not the medical treatment. It was the constant stream of humans bringing food, supplies, and offers of help. "Commander," said Science Officer Vex 3, approaching, with a datapad. I have been recording human behavior patterns as you requested. The results are very confusing. Show me, Zephyr 9 replied. The humans have shared their food supplies with us without asking for anything in return. They have provided shelter, medical care, and protection. This behavior does not match any known Deathworld species profile. A human approached their seating area. Zephyr 9 recognized him as Dr. Carl Peterson, who had introduced himself as a marine biologist. The human carried a portable display device and had that expression humans made when they were pleased about something. Good morning, Dr. Peterson said cheerfully. I thought you might be interested in learning more about how humans survive on Earth. Your crew mentioned you study survival patterns on different worlds. Zephyr 9 exchanged glances with Vex 3. They had been trying to understand these creatures for days. Yes, we would like to learn more. Dr. Peterson activated his display device, showing images of various Earth environments. Let me tell you about some remarkable survival stories. These might help explain how humans adapt to challenging conditions. The first image showed a dense, green area filled with tall plants and dangerous-looking creatures. This is the Amazon rainforest, one of our most challenging environments. A woman named Nina Rodriguez survived alone here for 127 days after her aircraft crashed. 127 days? Vex 3 asked in disbelief. In a hostile environment without support? That's right, Dr. Peterson continued. She had no survival equipment, no food supplies, and no communication with the outside world. She learned to identify safe plants to eat, built shelter from forest materials, and even befriended some of the local animals. Zephyr 9 felt his breathing passages tighten. The environment Dr. Peterson described would kill most galactic species within hours. The plants would be toxic. The animals would be predators. The weather would be deadly. How did she obtain safe water? Asked Medical Officer Tren 5, who had joined them. She learned to collect rainwater and purify it using natural methods. She also found clean streams by observing animal behavior patterns. Dr. Peterson seemed proud as he spoke about Nina Rodriguez. The next image showed white-covered mountains reaching high into the atmosphere. This is where mountain climber Tony Bennett had his survival experience. He was buried under snow and ice for 6 days during what we call an avalanche. 6 days without oxygen? Vex 3's voice cracked. He created an air pocket and rationed his breathing. When he finally dug himself out, he had a broken leg. But instead of waiting for rescue, he climbed down the mountain to get help for his teammate who was also trapped. Zephyr 9 stared at the image. The atmospheric pressure at that altitude would crush most alien species. The temperature would freeze their bodily fluids solid. Yet this human had not only survived but had then performed rescue operations while injured. Dr. Peterson showed them another image. This one displayed the deep blue waters of Earth's oceans. Deep-sea researcher Helen Morgan was working at depths that would crush most surface vehicles. When her submersible malfunctioned, she was trapped on the ocean floor. What happened to her? Asked Tren 5. She jury-rigged her life support systems using spare parts and emergency supplies. She survived for 18 hours in conditions that would instantly kill unprotected life forms, then managed to repair enough systems to return to the surface safely. The aliens sat in stunned silence. Each story Dr. Peterson told was more impossible than the last. These humans were not just surviving in their Deathworld environment. They were thriving in its most dangerous regions. These are exceptional cases. Correct? Zephyr 9 asked hopefully. Unusual individuals with special training? Dr. Peterson laughed, making that pleasant sound humans produced when they found something amusing. Not really. Most humans have similar capabilities, we just don't always need to use them. Another human approached their group. This one wore a uniform and had introduced himself earlier as Captain Pete Sullivan of something called the Coast Guard. Mind if I join the conversation? Captain Sullivan asked. I heard you were discussing survival stories. Please, said Zephyr 9, though he was beginning to feel overwhelmed by the information. I've been doing water rescues for 15 years, Captain Sullivan said casually. Last month alone, I pulled 12 people out of freezing ocean water during a storm. The week before that, it was a family trapped in their house during a hurricane. Day before yesterday, I helped evacuate people from a building fire downtown. You regularly enter dangerous situations to help others? Asked Vex 3. It's my job. But honestly, most humans would do the same thing if they were trained for it. We look out for each other. Captain Sullivan showed them images on his own device. Humans in flying vehicles pulling other humans from violent weather systems. Humans entering burning structures to rescue trapped individuals. Humans diving into frozen water to save complete strangers. The water temperature in these rescues would cause immediate system shutdown in most species, Tren 5 observed. We wear protective suits when possible, Captain Sullivan explained. But sometimes there's no time. The human body can handle cold water for short periods if you know what you're doing. Dr. Peterson nodded. Humans have adapted to survive in almost every environment on Earth. Arctic regions where the temperature drops far below freezing. Desert areas where the heat would cook most life forms. High-altitude locations where the air is too thin for most species to breathe. But how? Zephyr 9 asked. How does one species adapt to so many different environments? We don't change our biology much, Dr. Peterson explained. We change our behavior, our tools, our knowledge. When humans move to cold regions, they learn to make warm clothing and build insulated shelters. When they went to hot deserts, they learned to find water and travel during cooler parts of the day. Another human joined their group. This one was Dr. Kevin Brooks, who had identified himself as an environmental scientist. He carried a larger display device and several data storage units. I hope you don't mind, Dr. Brooks said, but I've been preparing some information about human environmental adaptation. I thought it might interest you. The display activated, showing a map of Earth with different colored regions. Humans live permanently in all of these areas, Dr. Brooks explained. From the polar ice caps to equatorial rainforests to high-altitude mountain ranges. Zephyr 9 studied the map. According to his database, each of those colored regions represented conditions that would require extensive life support systems for galactic species, yet humans lived there without any protection. The temperature ranges alone should make this impossible, Vex 3 muttered. Humans can function in temperatures from about -40 degrees to +50 degrees Celsius, Dr. Brooks said. With proper clothing and shelter, we can survive much more extreme conditions for limited periods. What about atmospheric pressure? Asked Tren 5. We live comfortably from sea level up to about 4,000 meters elevation. Some human populations live permanently above 5,000 meters. Mountain climbers have reached over 8,000 meters without breathing assistance. Captain Sullivan added, and we regularly work underwater at depths that would crush most creatures. Commercial divers can go down hundreds of meters with the right equipment. Dr. Peterson pulled up another image. But here's what might surprise you most. Humans don't just survive in these extreme environments. We seek them out for recreation. The image showed humans deliberately jumping from high cliffs into water below. Other images showed humans sliding down snow-covered mountains on narrow boards. Humans climbing vertical rock faces using only their hands and feet. Humans swimming in water filled with large, predatory fish. You do these activities for pleasure? Zephyr 9 asked in amazement. We call them extreme sports, Captain Sullivan explained. Millions of humans participate in dangerous recreational activities every year. But why? Asked Vex 3. Why would you seek out additional danger when your world is already so hazardous? The three humans looked at each other and smiled. Dr. Peterson answered first. Because overcoming challenges makes us stronger. Because pushing our limits helps us discover what we're capable of. Because the most beautiful and interesting places on Earth are often the most dangerous ones. Dr. Brooks nodded. And because when we learn to handle extreme situations safely, we're better prepared to help others when real emergencies happen. Zephyr 9 looked around at his crew. They all wore the same expression of disbelief and confusion. These humans were describing behaviors that contradicted every scientific model about Deathworld survival. Dr. Grace Williams arrived at the recovery site on the 5th day after the crash. She carried several large cases filled with books, documents, and electronic devices. The aliens had never seen so much stored information carried by one individual. I'm an anthropologist, she explained to Zephyr 9 and his crew. I study human cultures and history. I heard you were trying to understand how humans survive on Earth. Zephyr 9 was still processing everything he had learned about human survival capabilities. Each new piece of information made these creatures seem more impossible. Yes, we are very confused by your species. Dr. Williams smiled and began unpacking her materials. I think what might help is understanding how humans spread across the entire planet. We didn't just survive in one small area. We adapted to live everywhere. She activated a large display screen and showed a map of Earth. Small dots of light appeared across all the continents. Each of these lights represents a major human population center. As you can see, we live on every landmass and in every climate zone. Science Officer Vex 3 studied the display carefully. This distribution pattern is impossible. No single species can adapt to such varied environments without genetic modification. That's exactly what makes humans unusual, Dr. Williams said. We did adapt to all these environments, but not through biological changes. We did it through learning, tool-making, and cultural development. She changed the display to show images of humans in different environments. These are Inuit people living in the Arctic regions. Temperatures here regularly drop to negative 50 degrees Celsius. The ground is frozen year-round. Sunlight disappears completely for months at a time. The images showed humans wearing thick clothing made from animal materials. They lived in dome-shaped shelters built from blocks of frozen water. They traveled across the ice using sleds pulled by domesticated animals. How do they obtain food in such conditions? Asked Medical Officer Tren 5. They hunt marine mammals, fish through ice, and preserve meat for long periods. They've developed techniques for finding food sources that most creatures can't even detect. Dr. Williams showed the next set of images. These are Bedouin people who live in desert regions. Temperatures here can reach 50 degrees Celsius during the day and drop below freezing at night. Water is extremely scarce. Sandstorms can last for days. The aliens saw humans dressed in light-colored robes traveling with four-legged animals across vast sandy areas. They lived in portable shelters that could be moved quickly. They navigate using star patterns, find water sources underground, and travel during cooler parts of the day. Their animals can detect water from great distances and survive on plants that would kill most life forms. Two completely different survival strategies, observed Vex 3, for opposite environmental conditions. Exactly, and both developed by the same species. Dr. Williams continued the presentation. These are people who live in the Himalayan mountains. The altitude here makes breathing difficult for most humans. The weather is harsh and unpredictable. The terrain is dangerous. The images showed humans living in mountain communities at elevations that would cause immediate unconsciousness in most galactic species. They had built terraced gardens on steep mountainsides and raised animals adapted to high-altitude conditions. Their bodies actually changed slightly over generations to handle the thin air better, but mostly they survived through knowledge passed down from their ancestors and cooperation with their neighbors. Zephyr 9 was beginning to understand something important. These are not the same groups of humans? No, these are different populations that developed independently in different parts of the world. But they're all the same species. A human from the Arctic could learn to live in the desert. A desert human could adapt to mountain life. It might take time, but they have the same basic capabilities. Dr. Williams showed more images. Humans living in tropical rainforests, building homes in trees and using plant materials for everything from food to medicine. Humans living on islands, traveling vast ocean distances in small boats using only wind and water currents for power. Each group developed unique solutions to their environmental challenges, she explained. But they all used the same human abilities: learning, problem-solving, cooperation, and tool-making. A new human joined their group. Roy Thompson introduced himself as an agricultural scientist. He carried samples of various plants and what appeared to be soil from different regions. I heard you were discussing human adaptation, Roy said. I thought you might be interested in how humans change their environment instead of just adapting to it. He spread out his samples on a portable table. Humans don't just survive in hostile environments. We transform them into places where we can thrive. Roy showed them images of vast green areas covered with organized rows of plants. These are farmlands. Humans took wild grasslands and forests and turned them into food production areas. We developed agriculture about 10,000 years ago. You altered your planet's surface? Asked Vex 3. Extensively. We've turned deserts into farmland using irrigation systems. We've drained swamps to build cities. We've terraced mountainsides to grow crops. We've even created artificial islands. In the ocean, Roy activated his own display device. This is vertical farming. When we ran out of horizontal space, we started growing food in tall buildings. This facility produces the same amount of food as a traditional farm, 100 times larger. The images showed plants growing in stacked layers inside climate-controlled structures. Artificial lighting provided energy for photosynthesis. Nutrient solutions were delivered directly to plant roots without soil. We also developed desalination technology to create fresh water from ocean water. Roy continued. Weather modification systems to bring rain to dry areas. Greenhouse structures to grow tropical plants in cold climates. Engineer Maya Singh approached, the group carrying a toolbox and several mechanical devices. Don't forget about our engineering solutions, she said to Roy. Maya designs systems that work in extreme environments, Dr. Williams explained to the aliens. Maya began displaying various human tools and machines. This is a vehicle designed to operate in Arctic conditions. It can function at temperatures that would freeze most mechanical systems solid. She showed them images of large machines moving through snow and ice. The engine is specially designed to start in extreme cold. The materials resist freezing. The navigation systems work even when electromagnetic interference from polar conditions disrupts normal communications. This is a desert exploration vehicle, Maya continued. It operates in temperatures hot enough to melt standard electronics. It has cooling systems, sand filtration, and navigation equipment that works during sandstorms. The aliens examined the devices Maya had brought. They were simpler than galactic technology but appeared incredibly robust and adaptable. Human engineering philosophy is different from what you might expect, Maya explained. We design things to work in the worst possible conditions because that's where we often need to use them. She showed them a communication device. This radio will function underwater in extreme temperatures during electrical storms, and even after being dropped from significant heights. It's not the most advanced communication technology possible, but it works when everything else fails, Dr. Williams returned to her historical presentation. What you're seeing is the result of thousands of years of human adaptation. Each generation learned from the previous one and developed new solutions. She showed images of ancient human settlements in various environments. Early humans spread out from Africa to every continent except Antarctica. As they encountered new challenges, they developed new technologies and survival strategies. But, most remarkably, Dr. Williams continued, they shared this knowledge with other human groups. Trade routes connected Arctic communities with desert peoples. Mountain dwellers exchanged ideas with ocean navigators. Your species cooperated across different environmental adaptations? Asked Zephyr 9. Constantly. Human survival has always been based on sharing knowledge and resources. When one group discovered something useful, that information eventually spread to other groups, Roy added. Even today, agricultural techniques developed in one climate are adapted for use in completely different environments. Desert water conservation methods are used in mountain communities. Arctic food preservation techniques are used in tropical regions. Maya nodded. And our engineering solutions are designed to work anywhere on Earth. A tool that functions in the Arctic will also work in the desert, underwater, and at high altitude. The aliens sat quietly, processing this information. These humans had not just survived their death world. They had systematically conquered every environment on their planet through cooperation, learning, and innovation. Your species treats environmental challenges as problems to be solved rather than obstacles to survival, Vex 3 observed. Exactly, said Dr. Williams. Humans don't just adapt to environments. We adapt environments to meet our needs, and we do it while sharing resources and knowledge with other humans everywhere. As Zephyr 9 looked around at the human rescue operation still continuing around their ship, he began to understand something profound. These creatures had turned survival into a cooperative art form. On the 7th day after the crash, Dr. Steve Parker arrived at the site with several four-legged creatures following behind him. Zephyr 9 had never seen anything like it. The animals walked freely alongside the human without any restraints or control devices. "Good morning," Dr. Parker said cheerfully. "I'm a veterinarian. I take care of animals. I brought some friends to meet you." The largest creature had thick fur, pointed ears, and sharp teeth that marked it as a predator. Yet, it sat calmly next to Dr. Parker and seemed to be watching the aliens with curious rather than hostile interest. "This is Rex," Dr. Parker said, placing his hand on the creature's head. "He's a German shepherd. His ancestors were wolves that hunted in packs and could easily kill humans." Science Officer Vex 3 moved nervously in his chair. "Why do you keep predators near you?" "Rex isn't a predator anymore. Well, not to humans anyway. We call him a dog. Dogs are our companions, our helpers, and our friends." Dr. Parker scratched behind the animal's ears, and the creature made a pleased sound. "You formed an alliance with pack hunters?" asked Medical Officer Tren 5. "More than an alliance. We live together, work together, and take care of each other. Rex here helps law enforcement officers track criminals and find missing people. Other dogs help rescue workers find people trapped in collapsed buildings or lost in wilderness areas." Another human approached their group. This was Officer Janet Cross, who wore a uniform similar to Captain Sullivan's but with different markings. The same type of creature walked beside her, though this one was smaller and had different coloring. "This is my partner, Duke," Officer Janet said. "We've worked together for 5 years. He can detect substances that human senses can't pick up. He can track people across great distances, and he'll protect me from danger without being asked." Duke sat next to Officer Janet and watched the aliens carefully. His posture was alert but not aggressive. "How do you communicate with these creatures?" Zephyr 9 asked. "Through body language, vocal commands, and emotional connection," Dr. Parker explained. "Dogs are very good at reading human emotions and intentions. They learn to understand our words and gestures." Officer Janet demonstrated by giving Duke simple commands. The animal responded immediately, moving to different positions, lying down, or standing up based on her words. "But the most important part is trust," she said. "Duke knows I'll take care of him, and I know he'll take care of me. We depend on each other." Dr. Parker had brought other creatures as well. A smaller animal with soft fur and large eyes jumped onto his lap. This one was much smaller than the dogs but equally comfortable around humans. "This is Luna. She's a cat. Her ancestors were solitary hunters that avoided contact with other species, but cats chose to live with humans thousands of years ago." Luna made a soft rumbling sound as Dr. Parker petted her. She seemed completely relaxed despite being surrounded by aliens from another world. "Cats provide companionship and help control pest populations around human settlements," Dr. Parker explained. "They're independent but affectionate. Many humans share their homes with cats." Another human joined their group. Ben Carter introduced himself as a wildlife rehabilitator. He carried a large container with air holes in the sides. "I heard you were learning about human relationships with animals," Ben said. "I thought you might find this interesting." He carefully opened the container and removed a creature that made the aliens step back in alarm. It had scales, cold eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. Even small, it was clearly a predator. "This is a young alligator," Ben explained calmly. "She was injured and couldn't survive in the wild. I've been taking care of her until she's healthy enough to be released." "You provide medical care to predators?" asked Vex 3 in disbelief. "All the time. I've treated bears, wolves, large cats, venomous snakes, and birds of prey. If an animal is hurt and can be helped, we try to help it." Ben showed them images on his portable device. Humans working with creatures that could easily kill them. Treating injuries, providing food, building recovery habitats. "But why?" Zephyr 9 asked. "These animals provide no benefit to you. Some of them are dangerous. Because they're living beings that deserve a chance to survive," Ben said simply. "And because every species plays a role in keeping our planet's ecosystems healthy." Dr. Parker nodded. Humans learned long ago that we're part of a larger system. Taking care of other species means taking care of our own environment. Another vehicle arrived at the site. This one was larger and contained even more humans and animals. Lucy Adams climbed out of the driver's seat wearing a wetsuit and carrying diving equipment. "I do marine rescue," Lucy explained. "I save whales, dolphins, seals, and other ocean animals when they get in trouble." She showed them videos of her work. Humans diving into water filled with massive creatures that could crush them with a single movement. Cutting entangled whales free from fishing nets. Guiding lost dolphins back to deeper water. "This whale weighs more than 50 tons, Lucy said, pointing to one video. "She could kill me without even noticing, but she was trapped and dying. Someone had to help her." "The creature could have attacked you," observed Trend 5. "Whales are intelligent. They understand when we're trying to help them." This one stayed very still while I cut the ropes away from her fins. When I was finished, she waited until I was a safe distance away before swimming off. Dr. Parker added more examples. "Humans have brought dozens of species back from the edge of extinction. We've created protected areas where endangered animals can live safely. We've reintroduced species to areas where they had disappeared. Even when it costs us resources and doesn't benefit us directly," asked Zephyr 9. "Especially then," said Ben Carter. "Saving species that are almost extinct requires enormous effort and money, but humans do it because we believe it's the right thing to do." Lucy showed them more videos. Humans swimming with massive ocean predators that could swallow them whole. Working to clean up polluted waters so marine life could survive. Building artificial reefs to provide homes for sea creatures. "We even have humans who dedicate their entire lives to studying and protecting single species," Dr. Parker said. "Scientists who spend decades learning about one type of animal so they can help preserve it." A group of young humans arrived at the site. They were much smaller than the adults and moved with quick, energetic motions. Several animals followed them, including dogs, cats, and creatures the aliens didn't recognize. "Children," Dr. Parker explained. "Young humans. They form bonds with animals even more easily than adults do." The aliens watched in amazement as the small humans played with creatures that their databases marked as dangerous predators. The children threw objects for the dogs to retrieve. They carried cats and small mammals. They fed birds from their hands. "How do they know which animals are safe?" asked Vex 3. "They learn from adults and they have good instincts about animal behavior," said Dr. Parker. "But mostly, the animals we live with have learned to be gentle with human children." One child approached the aliens carefully, carrying a small furry creature. "This is my rabbit, Snowball," the child said in a clear voice. "She's very soft. Would you like to pet her?" The rabbit was calm and relaxed in the child's arms. Its large eyes watched the aliens with curiosity rather than fear. Zephyr 9 gently touched the creature's fur with one finger. It was incredibly soft, and the rabbit didn't seem afraid of his alien appearance. "She likes you," the child said with a smile. "Snowball is good at telling who's nice." As more examples accumulated, the aliens began to understand something remarkable about human behavior. These creatures didn't just survive alongside other species. They had formed emotional connections with them. "Your species forms what we call pack bonds," Zephyr 9 said slowly. "But not just with your own kind." "That's right," Dr. Parker confirmed. "Humans have the ability to form emotional attachments with almost any species. We care about their welfare as much as we care about other humans," Officer Janet added. "And they care about us too. Duke would risk his life to protect me. Luna shows affection to her human family. Even wild animals sometimes form friendships with humans who help them." Ben Carter showed them more rehabilitation videos. Animals that had been released back to the wild returning to visit the humans who had saved them. Wild dolphins playing with human swimmers. Birds building nests near human homes because they felt safe there. "This behavior is impossible according to our species' survival models," Vex 3 said quietly. "Why impossible?" asked Lucy Adams. "Because forming emotional bonds with other species provides no survival advantage. It requires resource expenditure, without benefit." It creates vulnerabilities that predators could exploit. The humans looked at each other and smiled. Dr. Parker answered for the group. Maybe survival isn't just about staying alive. Maybe it's about making life worth living. As the aliens observed the constant interaction between humans and other species around the rescue site, they realized they were witnessing something completely unique in galactic civilization. These Deathworld survivors had not conquered their environment through dominance. They had created a cooperative network that included creatures from across their entire planet. The strangest Deathworld in the galaxy had produced the strangest pack bonds anyone had ever documented. 2 weeks had passed since the crash. The Cosmic Dawn's communication systems were finally repaired, and rescue ships from the Galactic Council would arrive within days. Zephyr 9 sat in his temporary shelter, trying to write his official report. The datapad in front of him remained mostly empty. How could he explain to the Council what he had witnessed? Every protocol said Earth should be quarantined as a dangerous death world, but the evidence suggested something completely different. Dr. Nancy Klein entered the shelter carrying a medical scanner and a warm drink that humans called coffee. She had been checking on the alien crew members daily, even though they were fully recovered. "How are you feeling today, Commander?" she asked, activating her scanner to check his vital signs. "Physically, I am well," Zephyr 9 replied. "But mentally I am very confused." Dr. Klein sat down across from him. "About what you've learned during your stay here. About everything. Your species contradicts every scientific model we have about Deathworld inhabitants." Dr. Klein smiled. "Maybe your models need updating." She showed him images on her medical device. "I work in what we call an emergency room. I treat humans who have survived injuries that should have killed them. Yesterday I helped a man who was struck by lightning and lived. Last week it was a woman who survived a fall from a building 20 stories high. How is this possible?" Zephyr 9 asked. "The human body is incredibly resilient, but more importantly, we never give up trying to save each other. Advanced medical technology, skilled doctors, and the will to keep fighting can overcome almost anything." A new sound filled the air outside. Zephyr 9 recognized it as the noise made by human flying vehicles, but this was much louder than usual. Dr. Klein led him outside to see what was happening. A large aircraft was approaching the crash site. It was bigger than anything he had seen humans use before and had markings that indicated official status. "That's a military transport," Dr. Klein explained. "Probably bringing someone important to meet you." The aircraft landed in the clearing near the alien ship. Several humans in formal uniforms emerged, followed by a tall man wearing a different type of clothing. This human moved with the confidence of someone accustomed to leadership. Jake Martinez approached the group and spoke with the uniformed humans briefly. Then he walked over to Zephyr 9 and Dr. Klein. "Commander, I'd like you to meet someone special," Jake said. "This is Commander Rick Hayes. He's an astronaut." The human called Rick Hayes stepped forward and offered his hand in the greeting gesture Zephyr 9 had learned. "Pleased to meet you, Commander. I heard you're from the stars. I've been there too." "You have traveled in space?" asked Zephyr 9. "Many times. I've spent over a year in total living in space stations, working outside spacecraft in vacuum conditions, and helping to build permanent structures in orbit around Earth." Commander Hayes activated a display device showing images of humans working in the emptiness of space. They wore protective suits but moved confidently in an environment that would instantly kill most galactic species. "Humans regularly survive in the vacuum of space?" asked Science Officer Vex 3, who had joined them. "With proper equipment, yes. We've had humans living continuously in space for over 20 years now. We're also working on missions to other planets in our solar system." Dr. Klein added, "Rick has survived G-forces that would turn most creatures into liquid, radiation exposure that would kill unprotected life, and equipment failures that left him alone in space for hours. It's all about training and preparation," Commander Hayes said modestly, "and having good teammates you can depend on." Another human approached their group. This was Dr. Sandy Mitchell, who had introduced herself as a climate researcher. She carried equipment for measuring atmospheric conditions and several data storage devices. "I've been documenting the environmental changes on Earth over the past century," Dr. Sandy said. I thought you might be interested in how humans are working to heal our planet. She showed them data about human efforts to reduce pollution, restore damaged ecosystems, and develop clean energy sources. We realized that some of our industrial activities were harming the environment, so we're changing how we do things. Your species is voluntarily reducing resource consumption to protect your environment, asked Vex 3. We have to. This is the only planet we have. If we damage it too badly, we won't survive either. Dr. Sandy showed them images of massive human projects designed to clean polluted water, replant destroyed forests, and protect endangered species. We're also developing new technologies that work with natural systems instead of fighting against them. Commander Hayes nodded. And we're preparing to take some of the pressure off Earth by expanding to other worlds. Human colonies on the Moon and Mars will give our species room to grow without damaging our home planet. You're planning to terraform other worlds? Zephyr 9 asked. Eventually. But we'll start with enclosed habitats and gradually expand them. We want to be sure we can create sustainable environments before we attempt large-scale changes. The sound of many vehicles approaching drew their attention. A convoy of trucks was arriving, filled with humans and supplies. But these weren't rescue workers or scientists. These appeared to be local residents. Jake Martinez went to meet the convoy and returned with a smile. They're here for the farewell celebration. Word spread through the community that you'll be leaving soon. People wanted to say goodbye. Over the next few hours, hundreds of humans arrived at the crash site. They brought food, entertainment, and gifts for the alien crew. Children played games while adults shared stories and laughter. Music filled the air from instruments Zephyr 9 had never seen before. An elderly human woman approached him carrying a handmade item. "This is for you to remember us by," she said, placing a woven cloth in his hands. "I made it myself." The cloth was decorated with images representing Earth, plants, animals, and humans working together. The craftsmanship was remarkable, but what surprised Zephyr 9 was the time and effort this human had invested in creating something for a complete stranger. "Why did you make this for me?" he asked. "Because you're leaving home and everyone should have something to remember the friends they made along the way." Similar scenes were happening throughout the gathering. Humans giving gifts, sharing food, and expressing genuine affection for beings they had known for only 2 weeks. Dr. Grace Williams sat down next to Zephyr 9 as he watched the celebration. "This is what humans do," she said. "We form communities. We take care of each other. We welcome strangers and make them part of our family. Even strangers from other worlds. Especially strangers from other worlds. Meeting you has been one of the most exciting things to happen to this community in years." Commander Hayes joined their conversation. "I've been thinking about your mission here. You were supposed to survey Earth and recommend quarantine, weren't you?" Zephyr 9 hesitated, then nodded. "Earth is classified as a Class 2 Deathworld, the most dangerous rating in our database." "And now?" asked Dr. Williams. "Now I don't know what to recommend. Everything we believed about Deathworld species appears to be wrong." Dr. Sandy Mitchell approached with a group of other humans. "We've been talking, and we'd like to make a proposal." "What kind of proposal?" asked Zephyr 9. "We'd like to invite your people to visit Earth officially. Not as researchers studying a dangerous world, but as guests learning about a different way of life." Commander Hayes nodded. "We think humans and your galactic civilization could learn a lot from each other. We have survival techniques and technologies that might be useful to other species, and we'd love to learn about life on other worlds." Dr. Williams added, "We could start small. Cultural exchanges, scientific cooperation, sharing knowledge about survival and adaptation. Your council could send scientists to study how humans live with our environment instead of fighting against it," Dr. Sandy suggested. "And maybe some humans could visit other worlds to see how different species have solved their own survival challenges." Zephyr 9 looked around at the celebration continuing around him. Children were teaching alien crew members human games. Adults were sharing stories about their lives and asking questions about other worlds. Everyone seemed genuinely excited about the possibility of future contact. "I will include your proposal in my report," he said finally. As the evening continued, Zephyr 9 realized he was witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. These humans had not just survived on their death world. They had created a civilization based on cooperation, adaptation, and an unshakable commitment to helping others survive and thrive. The celebration lasted late into the night. Humans shared their food, their stories, their music, and their friendship with beings from another world. They offered their knowledge freely and asked for nothing in return except the chance to learn and grow together. When Zephyr 9 finally sat down to complete his report, the words came easily. He wrote about a species that had turned survival into an art form, challenges into opportunities for growth, and differences into reasons for celebration. His final recommendation was simple. Earth should not be quarantined. It should be the first stop for any species wanting to learn what survival really meant.